So hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Special warm welcome if you're brand new here. My name is KiwiSimsKate. Kiwi because I'm from New Zealand, Sims because I love the Sims, and Kate because that's my name. Welcome to another speed build here on YouTube. Today I am building a lake house, and this is a build that I wanted to do ever since I knew Adventure Awaits was coming. With this world, these beautiful new water lots. There are 2 water lots that came with Gibby Point. That's the world that we got with the second to last expansion pack we've received. It came out around October last year, and I actually had a pretty decent heads up on this one because I was incredibly lucky to be one of the builders that built the official lots for this expansion pack. So many of my viewers will already know this. There are some other videos out on my channel as well, explaining a bit of the behind the scenes. There's a speed build for one of my starter homes as well. So go check those ones out as well. I'll link the behind the scenes video up top here in this one if you're interested. Just talks a little bit about the process that's involved in being an official Sims 4 builder, which honestly was a dream come true. So I had 2 starter homes, a regular starter and then what they call a starter plus. And I also built the fitness getaway retreat. But here I wanted to, there's a lot of restrictions when it comes to building an official lot, and obviously you're allocated particular lots to build for the game. But here I wanted to try something that I thought would just be absolutely perfect on these water lots, which is a lake house. And right here I am actually figuring out how I want their little boathouse to be that juts out into the water. There's a bit of a jetty. You've got access via a ladder in and out of the water here. That water is just, it's stunning. Every time I look at it, it makes me want to go swimming and take a dip because that water it's just such a vibe. And then this boathouse here has got some live edit objects in it, so just some decoration, a little motor boat, and I've also included some of the new activity equipment. So we got new kayaks with this expansion pack, so a couple of kayaks there for the family. And that's basically it for the boathouse. It's pretty simple. Obviously, that boat is not usable. That's purely decoration. But I do have the kayaks there. And then later on near the end of the video, you will see me add add a boat that you can, like a sailboat that you can actually take out onto the water. I think I add one that we got from Island Living, and I add it up on the shore, so it has a different it looks different if you place it down on land versus if you place it in the water. In the water you see the sails. On land it's like all kind of folded up like it's been packed away for storage. It's really cool. I love that object. So this lake house is a 2-story home. It has a really, I would say, like rustic contemporary style. I wanted it to feel like, okay, this family's got a bit of money, and the family I imagine who own this lake house, this isn't even their permanent home or place of residence. In my kind of storyline that I envision, which if you've watched any of my speed builds before, you might know that I often do this. I kind of need something in my head around who lives in a house. If I'm building a residential house in The Sims, I need to have some kind of an idea of the Sims that live there. So for this build, I imagined that the family who own this is actually their holiday home. So they live probably in more of an urban environment normally, like possibly even San Myshuno, in a kind of really nice apartment, or yeah, somewhere that's a bit more inner city. Maybe they live in Evergreen Harbour or something. And then this is their escape that they come and visit every summer, since they had kids. They've been coming out here every summer. The kids maybe go to camp locally, like a summer camp. That's not really a thing in New Zealand, but I've watched enough American film and TV to know the vibe. So yeah, they come out here to unwind, to get out into nature. They love getting out into the outdoors. They love doing activities as a family. Maybe as the kids have gotten a bit older, as they approach teenagehood, potentially the kids start to be a little disinterested in that kind of, family bonding activity, but the parents still try and push that anyway, because they obviously want to spend time with their kids for as long as they can until they get much older. So that's the general vibe that I went for. This house would absolutely fit if you wanted to just have it as a permanent living situation, obviously. And in The Sims, without mods, unless you're kind of creating a getaway, I guess, there's not really. You could own a second home and rent it out, I think. And I don't really know how that would work, but in terms of gameplay, but I'm sure there's plenty of mods in that. I use a mod in some of my saves, that where my Sims can actually own additional property and rent it out, but I don't know how it would work if you had an additional home that was purely for holidays. I'm not sure. I'm sure it would work. I don't tend to play in my builds that I create for my speed builds, so I don't get to that point of trying to figure that out anyway. But this will be on the gallery if you do want to download it and put it in your game. I'd love to see it, or I'd just love to know about your family that you move into this or who own this home, because I really enjoy building in The Sims, more so than gameplay, I would say. So it gives me a real kick when I hear that that people actually play in my builds. I do try and make them as functional as possible. I always play test them, and they're always made with gameplay in mind, with obviously also trying to be as visually appealing as possible. So the style of this build, as I said, is kind of rustic contemporary. So I imagine they built this, or they kind of commissioned the build for this. They might have built the land. They might have bought the land that it sits on, and it was bare, or maybe it had like an old shack that was run down and just needed bulldozing, or maybe it just had a jetty on it. And nothing else. They bought the land because it was perfect for this kind of a build that they wanted here for their holidays, for their family. So they then commissioned the build of this home, intentionally wanting it to feel like it used a lot of traditional materials, this brick, this real kind of maybe local timber, and then having the modern elements though as well, the contemporary elements that would make their holidays just a bit more comfortable, and yeah, they could just get away from their city life and come here, and they would have all the comforts they need to live a modern lifestyle, but it feel like they were really escaping the city. So that was what I had in mind in terms of the visual for the exterior. I did obviously stroll through Pinterest like I often do. I got a lot of inspiration. There wasn't any one particular image that I worked from, and I did create the floor plan just off the top of my head. But the lake side of the build was inspired by a couple of different Pinterest images, particularly with this central tall section with really nice slim tall windows letting plenty of light through, and then having that jetty coming off with the boathouse. Inside, again, there's a big mixture of contemporary style and kind of more rustic traditional style, but everything feels really livable and really comfortable. So this is the kind of build where your Sims, whilst during the day they have, the opportunity to get out into the wild, into nature, out onto the lake, go for a boat ride or kayaking, maybe go hiking in the woods, and then they can come back in the evening, put on a movie on their huge TV, curl up on the sofas with a nice rug, like a cozy blanket or something, and have a little cuddle with their dog. I did include some pet items as well here, and have a really nice relaxing evening as well. Even if it's cold outside, it's a really well insulated home. Again, that's why I wanted it to feel a bit more modern, because I imagine this family is not short on money. They've got plenty to create this holiday home, nicer than some people's permanent homes. Certainly, in a dream world, I would love to have a holiday home like this one day. The kitchen that I'm working on now, I use the cabinets that we got with a base game update. I think they're probably my favorite kitchen cabinets now. I was so excited they were base game only ones as well. But I also try and mix in quite a lot of decorations just through the whole house that came with Adventure Awaits. So the stone in the kitchen is from Adventure Awaits. So are these pots and pans and the colander that hang on the wall. And then I think also the kitchen counter stools might also be Adventure Awaits. I paired this as well, this kitchen, with a couple of modern appliances. I believe they were from Life and Death, and it's the really modern looking refrigerator and stove, and the range hood as well. They are gorgeous, and I thought they looked really nice. The really dark swatches with the kind of rose gold accents, with this lighter cabinet cupboards, and a really nice dark marble countertop. The other items I used from Adventure Awaits in the kitchen here is the rug down on the floor just by the sink, a few different little decorative items, like I used a little fern plant that's in a small ceramic pot. The plant's in a pot on the bench just by the sink. And then this little side, it's like a side table, but it actually acts like a counter. So you can use it for small appliances. That's kind of what it was designed for, I believe. And it looks like it's on it's on wheels, so you could trolley it around the kitchen and place it so wherever you see fit. You'll see me there. I was thinking of placing a microwave on there, but I decided against it in the end. I decided just to put the smoothie maker, the blender there, which also came with Adventure Awaits. I just thought, I can't actually remember why I changed my mind, but I wanted to use the blender, and so it fit perfectly there, and then just a couple of clutter items around that as well, and a bunch of things from sort of my the kitchen clutter kit, etc. Then in this living room, this whole area is very open plan. So there's kitchen, living, dining room along this whole stretch of the house. And just in the background there, you can see by what will become the dining area, the wall across there is using the window wallpaper that we got last year. Just again, kind of trying to trap as much light inside the house as possible, and also bringing the outside inside to have that kind of nature flow and really feel like you're surrounded by the woods and the water and all of that kind of stuff. Also, I think it would be great for families because, you know, the parents could potentially be, I don't know how safe this would be, but maybe they are sitting inside at the dining table and they can still watch their kids playing outside in the yard or out by the water or something. In the living room, I love that rug that I think I sized up for that space. That came from Adventure Awaits. It has a few really cute swatches on it. The one in the living room's got a bear in a kayak, which I thought was really cute. I used the same rug again upstairs, but in a different swatch. Did I use the kayak downstairs? I think so. And then upstairs on the landing, in the kind of landing space, I use the fish swatch. So yeah, I had to use that rug twice. There's definitely a mixture of packs in this build. I didn't build this with limited packs, but I did, there were certain packs that felt like they went together really well. So along with Adventure Awaits, I found a lot of great items from Seasons, from Cats and Dogs. Obviously in certain rooms like the kitchen, I used a lot of the kitchen clutter kit. In this entry area, there's a lot of the mudroom Grange kit, but it's not a limited pack build. Speaking of the entranceway, you might notice that I have a room behind this wall, but currently no door to get to the room. So you'll see me in a minute, I think. I can't remember how long it takes me to realize it, but I do eventually, thankfully, realize that I need a door to go to that room because I wanted to make it a kind of guest room. So if they have other family, extended family or friends come and stay with them, they can offer them this room downstairs, which doesn't have an ensuite itself, but there is a full bathroom just opposite it. And then the family, all their bedrooms and bathrooms are upstairs. So it's a nice kind of separate space for someone who's not the main family. And that's why I decorated it a lot more simply than some of the other family rooms, because I imagine they keep it quite simple, and there's not a lot of kind of personal decoration in it. Kind of a bit more like a hotel room. Speaking of hotels, you could kind of take out a lot more of the personal items from this build, kind of gut a lot of the detailed decor and maybe just turn it into like an Airbnb or something in the getaway system that came with Adventure Awaits. I haven't personally played around with a lot of that stuff, but I do have a few ideas that I want to try. I just still haven't got around to trying them. This is me realizing that I need a door to the room. As soon as I go into the room to start finishing it, I then realize, it might be helpful if I can get Sims in and out of this room. So I ended up kind of just taking out some of the items that are in the entranceway to make space for it. The other pack that I used a decent amount through this house is the outdoor retreat game pack. I think it was a game pack, right? It was one of the oldest packs we got with The Sims 4, and I don't often use the furniture items from there because they're quite rustic looking, but I thought they looked really nice in here. And again, maybe they upcycled them or something to make them feel a little more fresh. Like, they definitely look worn, but they don't make the room look old-fashioned, which I liked. So I imagine that either maybe someone in the family even made them out of some of the local timber, or they bought them at a local store secondhand and then upcycled them themselves. That could be quite a cute little storyline. And as I said, this is intended to be a guest room, so it doesn't have a ton of decoration, but there are a few things in there just to make it feel not too empty. Downstairs we've got a full bathroom. It's quite cramped. I use the Seasons shower, I use the Adventure Awaits mirror and sink, and I use the bathroom, no, not the bathroom clutter kit. It was a creator kit that toilet came from, wasn't it? It was the one that Cibolette, I think, created with the team. And the Sleek bathroom, I was going to say, the name escapes me, but pretty sure it's the Sleek bathroom kit. Love that kit. It's absolutely gorgeous. And so that's another example. That toilet in there is an example of like one of the more modern elements in this house. You would have just seen me pull out from the live edit menu or debug menu a non-functional tent that I put up in the yard. And the idea with that was that the kids have been, wanting to sleep outside for a couple of nights or something. I remember that was, quite a big thing when I was young. Every now and then in the summer, I'd want to pull out the tent and put it out in the backyard and spend a night under the stars. That I think the kids have been playing around outside in the tent and just practicing putting it up and sleeping outside. Maybe they've had some friends round and the parents have said it's okay to spend a night out there if the weather's nice. But it isn't functional, I don't believe, because it's just from the live edit menu. Some of the timber swatches and the wood swatches on the exterior, I change a number of times. I just kept second guessing myself on the color scheme of the exterior. Every now and then I would think, I want a lighter timber, and then I changed my mind to a darker timber, and then back to light, and then back to dark. So honestly, I can't even remember what it ends up as. But I am happy with the finished product. And I think I even go in even after this and change it again. But I changed it so many times I can't remember. In fact, this build was created sometime, so it would have been after October because it was after Adventure Awaits came out. But I can't remember if I worked on it this year or the end of last year. So it's been a while since I built it, and I'm only just recording the voiceover to get the whole thing ready to upload for my channel. So I'm recording the voiceover a lot later than when I did the building. So I'm relying a lot on my memory, and my memory doesn't tend to be great. So apologies if I get something wrong or I just can't remember kind of what I do until I see it as I'm watching it now back. But I do remember having a lot of fun building this. It's even though it's technically a 4-bedroom home. I built it for sort of a 4-sim household, but with the guest room downstairs having a double bed, you could have 6 Sims sleeping in here. In fact, you could even have 7. You'll see when I move into one of the kids' rooms, I use that same kind of concept that I've used a number of times before. A lot of people use it because we only have the option of either a single bed or a like a queen bed. Sometimes I want a bed that's just in between, that's like a kind of king single or a double, like a small double bed, that might be for a teenager. I feel like, at least for me growing up, having a queen bed didn't come until much later in my teens, and I was just very lucky to be able to inherit a queen bed from one of my siblings, I think, who'd moved out. Otherwise, I had a single bed that was just normal, and certainly a lot of people I knew, you were pretty lucky to have a double or a queen bed as a teenager. But I do think that it is more common to have like a larger single once you get to kind of teenage age. So I smushed 2 single beds together. So you could sleep 2 Sims in that room if you wanted, I think, even though they overlap slightly. But it's designed for a single Sim, just to make it look like the bed is a little bit bigger for them. This is the parents' room or the caregiver's room, or basically it's the biggest, fanciest room in the house. It has a double four-poster bed. It's a bit more luxurious. There's more space to relax. It's the only bedroom in the house with an ensuite. And I use some growing together in here. I think that tile on the wall is an eco lifestyle tile with the stone that came with Adventurer weights. I love the stone floor that we got with the CP. I used it in, I think, all the bathrooms in the house, and also, as I said earlier, I used it in the kitchen as well. It comes in some really nice swatches with a bit of variation in colour, and I think it's gorgeous. I also used the tool mod to size up this shower tub. I wanted it to feel like it was truly built into the walls as opposed to a standalone object. So just using tool to increase the size of that. You do not need the tool mod in order to place a build that uses the tool mod into your save. Does that make sense? So if you wanted to download this from the gallery and you do not have the tool mod, don't worry, you can still download this, and the items that I've sized up when I've built it will remain how I've designed them, even if you don't have the tool mod. Hopefully I explained that well enough. So then I moved downstairs. I think I've still got the kids' rooms to do upstairs, but I had been building this on stream, and I'd asked my community to help me out a little bit because I had this sort of extra awkward space downstairs. I created the floor plan and I didn't really have an idea of what I wanted to do with this room. Obviously, you could turn it into whatever you wanted. The other idea I had was make an office, but because it didn't fit with my storyline, because I imagined this is a second, like a holiday home for these Sims, right? So they're not coming to this location to work. They're coming purely to relax and get away from the day-to-day grind. So I didn't want to build an office in here. And I think someone in my community gave me this idea. I don't remember where it came from originally, but turning it into a storage room, which I thought was actually perfect for this concept that I was going for, because this is the room where they just chuck everything, all their kind of camping equipment, all their other, like their spare kayaks, their camping furniture, extra tents, all of that kind of stuff, scuba equipment, diving equipment, any other bits and bobs that they use to go adventuring out in the wilderness. And so I pulled out a few objects. I made use of a few live edit and debug objects as well. I love that decorative item. I wish it was functional. I used 2 of them in this build, one in the storage room and one by the front door, of like this rack that holds sleeping bags and what might also be like small tents. And I love it. I wish it was functional. I wish you could click on it and like get a tent or get a sleeping bag out and have it, go into your Sims inventory or something. But alas, it's just decorative. Upstairs, the last 2 rooms I work on up here are the kids' rooms, which, as I described earlier, this one is the one where I smush those 2 single beds together. I love the color schemes that I worked on for both of these rooms. In here, I went for yellows and browns, primarily. I think with a bit of blue and just some pops of some other color. Yeah, blue. I think yellow, brown, and blue was my kind of main color scheme here, with the thought that this room is probably for the older of the 2 kids, maybe even a young teenager, maybe a tween. The family that I used to playtest this build, and it has been playtested by the way, is a family with a teenager and a child. And I used the teenager to sort of playtest this room. So you could have a child in here though easily because they sleep in the same type of bed. But I thought the decorations felt a little bit more mature than just a child age. They've also got some clutter pieces from Adventure Awaits, like I love that wall object that is shelving with some games, like maybe board games and puzzles and things. And then also some things from Outdoor Retreat and what else is in there? Parenthood. I added that sleeping bag on the floor. Unfortunately, it means that your sim has to, I think, make their way to, I think it blocks their movement to the actual bed itself. But I imagine they had a friend round, and so their friend's sleeping in the sleeping bag on the floor. That's an easy solve. I did make an executive decision when I was playtesting, even though it didn't work. I just thought it was so cute for storytelling purposes, so I kept it. But do know that you might need to move that sleeping bag into your Sims inventory in order to reach the actual proper bed if you're playing in this build. But that was a conscious decision on my part to do that. The other surprising thing I used in this build is some of the SpongeBob items. Now, look, I'm as surprised as you are to know that there are some items in there that I actually really like. Not all of it, and I do think it was a really odd collaboration. But this little, I used the side table, I used the activity table, and I think I placed down the bookshelf, which I think is my favorite item from all of the SpongeBob items we got, particularly the 2 swatches that are just the like wood textures, and it's like a standing up boat. I love it. I think it's so cute for kids' rooms and perfect for a lake house, right? So I had to use that, and I liked the activity table. It came in the right swatch for this room, which is using a lot of kind of more pastel-y greens and blues and yellows, and just some sort of younger feeling colors to the other room. And so I'm hoping that the 2 rooms kind of feel like slightly different ages, where one's a bit more mature and one's definitely a little younger still. Then I move outdoors again, and out here I haven't, until the point of building this, I hadn't really played around with the garden to table kit items. I'd looked at them briefly just to kind of see what was included, but I hadn't actually use them in any builds, and I had a lot of fun using them here. I think some of the items we got with that kit really unique, which is cool. I don't like getting content when it feels recycled. I hate that. If you're gonna give us new stuff, give us new stuff that we don't have, right? So I feel like the garden to table kit, whether you like it or you love it, it is unique. Some of those decorative items of food, things that look like they've just been freshly harvested. Really, really cool. I particularly love the basket with eggs, which I don't think I use here, but I have used a lot in other builds since this, and I just think it's adorable. The finishing few touches on the exterior are just shifting this hot tub. Now, this hot tub also came with Adventure Awaits, and it's the new type of hot tub that we got, which is like a sunken hot tub, which I think is really cool. So it doesn't sit above ground, it kind of sits into things. So you could build it into a patio like this, or like a porch area, or you can build it straight into the ground. I also added a little outdoor shower, which is connected to the outside of the house, just beside the spa. I figure that's definitely, the adults' activity. Once the kids are kind of sleeping and they're getting ready for bed, then it's the adults' time to relax and unwind. Maybe they go for a dip in the lake, and then they get out and they rinse off a bit and then have just a really nice soak in the hot tub. Maybe a bit of champagne, watch the sunset, very romantic. As I'm explaining it, that's where I want to be mentally, and in my life right now. That would be great. And then adding a bit more personality and decoration around the other parts of the garden. So pulling a few bits out from Adventure Awaits, but also some other kits and packs that we have as well, to fit that vibe. Also the garden to table kit, I think it came with this little side bench that I placed beside the hot tub as well, which I thought was pretty adorable. And working on some landscaping. Now the landscaping's pretty simple. There's nothing, I wouldn't say it's particularly groundbreaking or exciting. I really just wanted it to fit in the world. I wanted it almost to feel, how you get the outline of build mode when you're building on a lot. I wanted, when you go into live mode, for it to really feel like you don't know where the lot finishes and the rest of the world begins. One tree I absolutely had to include though is that big tree on the right there with the red flowers. Now that, because the Sims team took some inspiration for the world of Gibby Point from New Zealand. It's not fully based on New Zealand, but they did take some inspiration from New Zealand wildlife and natural environment. That tree is based on a tree in New Zealand, which is native, called the Pohutakawa tree. And that tree flowers in our summertime, which also is around Christmas. So in New Zealand, because we're in the Southern Hemisphere, it's summer from December to February, technically. Obviously, we have, it kind of differs and depending on what the weather wants to do that year. But summertime is in Christmas here, and at Christmas time, the Pohutakawa trees are generally in bloom, and we call it the New Zealand Christmas tree because of their bright red and then their green foliage, so very much Christmassy colours. The screenshots are coming up shortly, so thank you so much for watching this video. I'm amazed I got through that really long voiceover, so thank you for sticking with me if you're still here. Enjoy the screenshots. Thank you so much for watching. You can find me, KiwiSimsKate, on all my other socials. See you there. Bye.